Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America and the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Great to have you with us on the program today. Website thisweekinamerica.us. As mentioned, our special guest on the program is Suzy Cohen, America's most trusted pharmacist. She's a syndicated national newspaper columnist, a best-selling author. You've seen her on Dr. Oz, The View, Good Morning America, and now she's with us on This Week in America. Suzy, welcome to the program. Great to have you with us.
Thank you, Rick. Nice to be with you.
Oh, there's so many interesting things to talk about. And before we get into a fascinating book that you've written, a bestseller called Drug Mongers, let's just sort of set the stage as to who you are. You've been a pharmacist, a nationally recognized, prominent pharmacist for several decades. Yet you also say we really need to keep everything in mind, that sometimes natural options are something that people should consider.
Yeah, I absolutely feel that way. I graduated pharmacy school from the University of Florida 23 years ago, and I had 6 years of training. So I've been in this industry of pills and metabolic pathways for about 30 years. I'm 48 years old. So, I've gone around in different circles. When I first graduated, I was in the circle of medications and the next best drug. I could rattle them off like any other pharmacist. But then as I got a little bit older and I gained some nursing home experience and some life experience and experience with loved ones and friends, I started to think outside the pill. And then through my syndicated column, which reaches about 20 million people every single week, I got questions from that. It's a Q&A column. And from that, I learned that, maybe we need to be looking at things other than pills and supplements, such as diet and lifestyle changes and energy medicine. So I'm all over the place in terms of healing. There isn't just one thing. There's a pie. There's different parts of the pie.
You're listening to This Week in America. We also have a TV version of this, which is available on YouTube. And for those that are watching on television, they're probably going to ask the same question I am. 48 years old. We want to talk about anti-aging supplements that you're taking. How do you do it?
Well, yeah, I do get asked that a lot. First of all, I do exercise. I don't keep any particular special diet. I try to lean towards the paleo diet, but I do get into occasional grains. So, like sushi, I love sushi and it has rice. You can have some grains on the paleo diet. But I do take, I actually have it right here. For people watching me on the interview feed, I take bioastin, 12 milligrams every day. It's astaxanthin. And astaxanthin, the natural sort, is king of the carotenoids. So you have to think of it as kind of like beta carotene, but like much stronger. And it's wonderful. It not only helps with skin, it acts kind of like an internal sunscreen and it protects from UV damage. Plus, as a side effect, it helps me relieve joint pain and aches and improves endurance. So I do a lot of Zumba and yoga. So that's how I stay fit.
What's really interesting is we get a lot of people and we will read things and it's like, I would like to try that, but I really don't know how to go about doing it. On our program today is Suzy Cohen, America's most trusted pharmacist, best-selling author. And we'll talk about one of the books, Drug Mongers, here in a couple of seconds. But how do we should we talk to the pharmacist? How do we find out? You got neighbors that are selling supplements all over the place, and you're wondering out of the trunk of their car, and what do they really know about supplements? And it's a business rather than a passion for them. It's a passion for you in using what's natural. How do we actually find out what supplements will work for us?
That's a great question because it's different for everybody. There isn't a magic pill, just like there isn't a magic drug. I don't think talking to your pharmacist is ideal because I am a pharmacist and I've been in the field for 23 years practicing and perfecting, I should say. But I always hate when people say I'm practicing. Really, you're still practicing? You're practicing on people.
I've always wondered about that. I've been practicing for 43 years. Well, when do you think you're going to get it right? Do you think by the 45th year you can actually get this accomplished?
Totally. Totally. Excuse me. But yeah, I don't think your pharmacist or physician is really going to know. I think you just have to be intelligent and look at good websites. I like my own. I think that if you're going to take medications for something, even simple things, say you're taking acetaminophen or say you're taking ibuprofen, aspirin, these are drugs that people don't associate with damage, but they can be damaging to some people. They can affect your heart. Some of them can affect your gastric mucosa. I mean, drugs are not without side effects. effects. So you have to think, if I'm going to take this medicine, what supplement do I need to be taking to protect myself from the side effects of this medicine? So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm not trying to insert myself between a patient and a physician. That's between them. If the physician orders a medication, that's fine. But you need to take the right supplement and eat the right foods to protect yourself from that medication. And a prime example of that is something as simple as ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is wonderful. I mean, I carry Advil around in my purse. I get that. Sometimes you need a little something, bad headache, whatever, PMS, whatever. But if you're going to take it long term instead of just once in a while, you need to take folic acid. If you're going to take a baby aspirin every day because of a heart condition and your doctor has suggested that you take a baby aspirin every day, fine, take vitamin C. If you're going to be on a statin cholesterol drug, something like Lipitor, Zocor, Crestor, some of those, that's fine if that's what you want to do. Just take and put back what the drug mugger stole. In that case, for statins, I would suggest CoQ10, vitamin D, and creatine. So all of this is in my book. This is why I wrote the Drug Mugger book.
The Drug Muggers is the name of the book, which medications are robbing your body of essential nutrients and natural ways to restore them. If you're driving and you're thinking, I can't write all this down, again, it is all listed in the book. Suzy's website, by the way, is dearpharmacist.com. If you go there, there's a lot of great information. You can sign up for a free newsletter and stay up to date on all the information that Suzy comes across and she's putting out to you. Suzy Cohen, our guest on the program, America's most trusted pharmacist. DearPharmacist.com is the website. Information you can link on at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. I love the premise of this, Drug Muggers, because so many of us take medication because we're told to take the medication. And we really don't give it a whole lot of thought. And the premise of what you're discussing here is a number of medications actually are robbing our body of essential nutrients.
Right. And it's so fundamental, because if you don't know that a drug is stealing nutrients from your body, you're going to develop a side effect. And then you're going to go to the doctor, and that doctor's not going to see it as a side effect. He's going to see it as a new disease. And then you're going to have to take a new drug. And then you're going to get drug mugger effects from that. So just very basic for people listening, for people watching, if you're taking any medication, whether it's over the counter or prescription, doesn't matter. Or if you're drinking wine, or if you're drinking coffee, doesn't matter. The first most fundamental thing you should do is take probiotics. Probiotics are the good gut bugs. They help replenish and restore the intestinal flora for you. I actually keep these things at my desk. I take probiotics every day. Everybody has a brand that they like. The one I tend to like is Dr. O'Hara's, just because of the way that it's made. I also feel that beyond that, you need to be taking what else the drug mugger stole. So, for example, if you're low on selenium, you need selenium for your thyroid. But let's say you're low on selenium, you could get diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And then you'd have to take a drug for that. But I'm saying to you that many medications, including acid blockers, steroids, birth control pills, menopause medicines, these drugs all mug selenium. And if you don't restore the selenium from those drugs, you might get diagnosed with hypothyroidism. That's getting to be epidemic here, and everybody's walking around going, what's going on? I know what's going on. I'm telling you right now.
So basically, if I'm taking medication, it's quite possible, if I'm not counteracting that with something natural that's replenishing, I'm creating a new disease for myself.
Exactly. And so I submit to you and everyone listening and watching today, you are healthier than you think. You are probably experiencing a side effect from the first drug or the second drug that you took, and it just looks like a new disease. Another example of this is with birth control pills or menopause medicines. They contain these synthetic estrogens and these synthetic forms of progesterone called progestin-like drugs. So there's synthetic chemicals in there. Okay, these drugs can smash your levels of magnesium, selenium, folic acid, B6, B1, so basically think your minerals and your B vitamins as well as your probiotics. It all goes out the window. What happens? You're at a higher risk for all sorts of disorders, gallbladder disease, heart disease, your CRP goes up. You start to get depressed. You start to develop low libido. It's a problem. And all of and you start to hold on to weight. All of this because the medicine's robbing your body, slowly stealing the life out of you. And if you don't know and restore those nutrients, you're going to get diagnosed with depression. In comes Zoloft. Low thyroid, in comes the armor. Low libido for men, if they're taking a particular drug mugger of zinc, and there's many, in comes Viagra. It's not that these people are sick with these disorders and need these medicines. It's just that their doctor hasn't recognized the drug nutrient depletion effect. He has not put back what medication stole. So I wrote a book on it to bypass the doctor, get it right to the consumer. I'm telling people, when you read my book, it's a major aha. This is what's happening to me. And I'm telling you, you're healthier than you think. You do not have all of these diseases that you've been labeled with and drugged up for. You just need to put back what medication stole from the first couple of drugs that you really do need.
And you really need to break the cycle. Otherwise, this just keeps repeating itself forever and ever.
It's called the medication merry-go-round in my book, and it's a tough ride to get off.
The book is called Drug Muggers, Which Medications Are Robbing Your Body of Essential Nutrients and Natural Ways to Restore Them. One of 3 bestsellers from Suzy Cohen, America's Most Trusted Pharmacist. Her other books, Diabetes Without Drugs and The 24-Hour Pharmacist. All are available at her website, dearpharmacist.com, available at Amazon all across the country. It is essential reading. Time is going by too quickly. You've got what you call a drug mugger punch list. Let's talk about that because this could be very helpful for people.
Okay, so the punch list is on page 80 of my book, Drug Muggers, and it's just a very quick list of medications, a few drugs in that category so you can recognize yourself, and then what nutrients are stolen from you by that category of medicine, and then what can happen to you, what diseases you might develop. So an example of that might be with antibiotics. That's very simple. Everybody gets that one. Antibiotics go into the gut. They go off like a shotgun. They kill the pathogens. They kill the good bacteria. You know, your healthy intestinal flora goes out along with all the pathogens. We all understand that. But if you don't restore your probiotics, then you could go on to develop increased risk of infections, constipation, irritable bowel syndrome, because it can go either way, a low thyroid. All sorts of problems can ensue, and then you will get medicated for all of those problems, all of those infections. For the low thyroid, there's mood problems and anxiety, higher levels of depression associated with people that cannot make the proper neurotransmitters. And some of that has to do with your gut flora. A lot of it does. A lot of people don't realize there's more serotonin, a known happy brain chemical, in your gut than there is in your brain. You got to keep your gut bugs happy. You got to keep them normal.
Suzy Cohen, our guest on the program. The book is Drug Muggers, and you mentioned something that I wanted to talk about, antibiotics. In fact, you wrote an article, Antibiotics Are Stupid. It's up to you to be smart. Now, all of us, every time people sneeze, they want to get a hold of the doctor and get an antibiotic. Are we really, really hurting ourselves by this dependency on antibiotics for everything?
Yes, you could be. Some of them are dangerous, like people who take the fluoroquinolones. This is a class of medications that most people do okay on, but then there's a small percentage of people that get, quote, floxed. They get floxed, and it can be quite dangerous, and at times it can even be fatal. So you'll have to look that up. Antibiotics are not just to be taken indiscriminately. You really have to target a particular organism, and at the first sneeze, you don't know what you're infected with. It could be viral, in which case an antibiotic is going to do more harm than good. Plus, not to mention the fact that there's resistance. Look, there's just too much to talk about, and I know we're out of time, but I can tell your listeners and your viewers this. If you want more of me and you want to get my free newsletter, come to my website. It's dearpharmacist.com, just like you're writing me a letter. Dearpharmacist.com. Sign up in the top banner on the right-hand side. I will never spam you. It's all privacy protected, and I will send you all of this good information for free.
You know, it's interesting. Got about 2 minutes left in the program. I just got the new newsletter, and you're talking about pets. And can pets actually cause illness? And briefly talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, a lot of people don't realize that their pets can go outside to the bathroom in the yard and a tick jumps on them. And then their pet comes back in. If that tick gets on you and bites you, you could have Lyme disease. You may never even know it. Most people don't even feel a tick bite because they numb the skin. So yes, they could carry Lyme disease with them and give that to you indirectly. Birds have organisms. The feces of animals contain, microorganisms that are dangerous and harmful. And again, this is just news to people. I specialize in strange, and people love me for that because I'm willing to tell them the truth, and I'm willing to help them look at things that their doctor may not have covered. And that's fine by me because my whole purpose is helping people get well any way it takes, any way you want to do it. We just need to all get better as a whole. People aren't, they're just thinking with the TV mentality of what's the next best drug being advertised on TV, and do I need that? That's just crazy. You're putting your life into your hands by imagining that you have a disease and needing the next best drug. Before medicines were invented, we had medicines from Mother Nature's cabinet. We've survived on herbs for many, many years, centuries, eons.
Well, I
And then there
mentioned
was colloidal silver before antibiotics.
been
There's
doing this.
all kinds of things.
You've been doing this for 23 years, not practicing for 23 years, but perfecting for 23 years. I love that. The first person that's ever said that, and every time they talk about how long they've been practicing, I keep thinking, as we discussed before. But are you satisfied with changes? Are we making some progress? I mean, you see prescriptions all the time and talk to people that are prescribed medicine from the doctors. Are we making any progress in understanding this?
It's slow going. I think the people like yourself that interview, the people like myself and others who are in this community, we've got a big battle to climb. It's a big hill to climb, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I would say we're getting somewhere, but it's slow going. And the only reason I say that is because the natural product industry is like a $10 billion industry. People are spending money out of pocket for a reason. It's because they're going to their physicians and they're not so satisfied with the healthcare. They're not getting any better. Maybe some of them are getting medicated with one particular medicine, but then they're finding that they have other symptoms afterwards, probably from the drug monger effect. But yeah, we're making some progress. It's real slow, and no, I'm not satisfied with it. That's why I'm still out there, and I'm not on a beach in drinking a tequila.
Well,
So
we're
I'm
going to have
ready.
you back on the program. The book, and this really says it all, Drug Muggers, Which Medications Are Robbing Your Body of Essential Nutrients and Natural Ways to Restore Them. The book is available all across the country. Suzy's other books, bestsellers, Diabetes Without Drugs, The 24-Hour Pharmacist. The website is dearpharmacist.com. Some free, some ebooks and free newsletters there as well. So check out the website. And again, the website is very simple to remember, dearpharmacist.com. Suzy Cohen, America's most trusted pharmacist. Suzy, great to have you with us on the program. We look forward to having you back with us.
Thank you, Rick.
You're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network.